Hi, I'm Steve Morgan, founder of Cybersecurity Ventures and editor-in-chief at Cybercrime magazine. I'm here today with Robert Johnson III, president and CEO at Cimcor Inc., developers of the CimTrak Integrity Suite, a leading IT integrity monitoring, security, and compliance solution. To learn more about CimTrak, visit cimcor.com/CimTrak. Robert, great to have you with us today.
Great to be back with you, Steve.
So I mentioned the company around in our media highlights, your company, Cimcor, one of the top 150 cybersecurity companies globally that we follow. It's stiff competition. It's not easy to get on the list. You've been around for a while. You're going to show us CimTrak's Integrity Suite today. But before you jump in, give us a 30,000-foot view of the company, when it started up, and anything you'd like our audience to know.
Well, Cimcor started in 1997, but at the time, we're originally focused on critical infrastructure and high availability projects, automating those types of manufacturing opportunities. But when we were automating these facilities, when we would leave, we had this kind of knot in our stomach, always feeling like even though we've just automated this facility, it only took a person with a laptop and a USB stick to bring that process down, these critical processes down. So we started thinking, what can we do to help increase uptime, provide visibility into what's happening in these companies, and ensure that in the end, business keeps running. And that really led us down a path of creating our product, CimTrak.
So tell us about CimTrak. How long ago did you start development, and exactly what does it do? I know what it does, but help our audience. And we're mainly speaking to CISOs and security leaders who are watching us today.
Sure. Well, we started the process of developing CimTrak about 17 years ago, but we brought it to the market full force about 12 years ago. It's just a long development effort to get it to where we really wanted it to be, and it's still evolving every day. But in that process, we really brought a lot of unique things to the market. Our product, again, is called the CimTrak Integrity Suite, was the first tool brought to market that can identify changes throughout your infrastructure in real time. It's the first system out there that has integrated ticketing and provides you with that general insight to what's happening in your organization, just based on pure change control. So we have a wide variety of customers across the board. They're scrolling at the bottom on the slide that I'm showing. And these are folks that get it and realize that there's something different that has to be done to secure your infrastructures. And it starts with understanding what's happening in your infrastructure. The CimTrak Integrity Suite has three core pillars. One is the security side of things. And this is where the bulk of our revenue comes from, the security and compliance side of things. The core problem that we're trying to solve is that from infection to detection to remediation, the average industry-wide is about 280 days. 280 days from being infected to having it remediated. And we think that's absolutely an unacceptable statistic. So everything you're going to see and everything that CimTrak does is focused on bringing that stat from 280 days down to just seconds. And that's what we really focus on doing from a security side. Now, from a compliance side, that second pillar, we're really focused on taking those CIS benchmarks, just the STIGs, assessing your infrastructure, and then compiling that data in a way that directly aligns with different compliance initiatives such as PCI or HIPAA or Sarbanes-Oxley or NERC, CIP. We provide really easy to use reports and comprehensive reports so you can get a handle on where you stand for any of those compliances. And then finally, as I indicated a little bit before, my real concern is helping you keep your business running. How do you reduce your risk? How do you keep producing revenue? And how do you ensure your reputation is intact? So maintaining those key factors so you can continue to operate effectively is top of mind. And in the end, we can take the information that we've created and integrate to a broad range of external systems as well, such as SIMs, ITSM systems such as ServiceNow or BMC Remedy and many others.
So that was a great overview, Robert. Let's jump in. Show us what CimTrak is. Very excited to see it.
All right, sure. What I'm showing you right now is the CimTrak Management Console. Now, this Management Console provides you with an overall view of what's happening in your infrastructure. So you can see number of systems that are online or offline. You can move this around, add new widgets, remove widgets, whatever you like to set it up so you're looking at things exactly how you need to see them. Here we can see several files were deleted, 30, so we can actually see, what happened here across your infrastructure for these 30 file deletes. And we can see modifies. So what I'm going to show you right now is how we get to a point where we can have this insight into what's been deleted, what's been modified or added or changed throughout my infrastructure. So it starts with setting up this tree on the left side. These are all of the assets that are being monitored. And we can monitor a ton of devices. Here you can see we're monitoring network devices, Cisco, Juniper, Kubernetes, Palo Alto devices, and we support many more. It could be Linux machines, different Unix-based machines. But for this example, let's just start with a Windows 2000 Server 2019 server, and let's see if we can monitor that. So we'll start. Right now, I'm showing you this 2019 Windows machine. Let's look at this test directory. Let's see exactly what it takes to monitor this test directory. So I simply go over to the 2019 machine, create a new policy, and you'll see at this point I have the opportunity to monitor drivers and install software, network shares, registry, systems and users, all the key components on that Windows machine, we can monitor right here. For this example, we're just going to drill down into that C drive, and there's that test folder. So there are a couple ways I can do this. We can update in bulk, or I can just put in a bunch of directories, and I can even do wildcard. Say I want to monitor the users directory, all users, so I just put a wildcard for users, and want to monitor the downloads directory. That's all it takes, that single line. Or say I want to exclude, I want to monitor everything but exclude PDFs. We simply do this. So very simple, and there are a lot of variables that you can use to kind of make this process simple. But you can also just pick and choose. And that's what we're going to do here. We're going to drill down. We're going to pick this test folder directory. And so now we've decided what we like to monitor, which was that test folder. So now we're going to decide how we want to monitor it. So we're going to monitor this directory in a log mode to start. And we're going to detect all the changes in real time. So let's do that. We're going to give it a name. And that's it. We've created our first policy. Now, this is not currently active. To activate it, we simply right-click and say lock and digitally sign. At this point, it's going out to that remote machine and creating a baseline of exactly how that machine should look, at least for the directories that are specified in your monitoring policy. And we can see that's done already. So here's my Windows 2019 machine, and we're going to actually make some changes here. So we're going to edit this file. And we'll say yes to that. And we're going to say delete this file. And that's good enough. So let's go back over to this event log and let's see what we found. Well, that modification and that delete are shown right here. And you can see that these are the two files that were, one was modified with Notepad++, and the other was deleted using Explorer. You can see who performed the action, the administrator. You can see what what process was used, what the thread ID was, and then even the hash. And in certain circumstances, you can even see the source IP because there's a wealth of forensic information here. So here you clearly can identify who made the change, what was changed, how it was changed, and then you can take action if necessary. So there's a lot of power here, and this provides you with a lot of insight. But this is where all of our competitors stop. So I would like to talk to you about a few of these other modes that we have that go beyond what our competitors can do. So we're going to jump into this update baseline mode. Now, the difference between the update baseline mode and the log mode is that every time a file is changed or altered in some way, we're basically creating incremental snapshots along the way. And that snapshot is stored in a compressed and encrypted form in our master repository. So in other words, if a file is added, incremental snapshot is made, stored away. Whether it's deleted, incremental snapshot would be created, stored away in our master repository. So we have this whole audit trail, including content for every change for that system. So that means if I was to go into a file and modify it, any changes that are made will be saved. If we delete a file, so I just modified a file, I just deleted a file. So let's go back and see what's inside of our event log. Take a quick look, and we can see that once again, that file modification and delete were tracked. But here's the thing, we have the content behind it all. So we can actually tell you not only that something has changed, we can go a step beyond and say exactly what has changed. Here we can actually show a real file comparison and say, well, these are the lines that were altered in some way. And these are the digital signatures and any changes for attributes. So there's a tremendous amount of additional insight that you gain from a tool like CimTrak when you combine more than just digital hashes with actually what's happening in the system, what's actually going on from a content perspective. So that's the next level up. But we have additional modes of operation. I'm going to show you a couple more. One level beyond that is the restore mode. Imagine that you have a system that's running a critical website and your reputation is on the line, and you need to make sure that website is always in the expected state. Well, the restore mode is a great way to ensure that that's the case. In fact, let's show an example. I'm just going to go in and I'm just going to delete a bunch of files. And look, they're all coming right back. Now, this didn't come from the recycle bin. If we look in the recycle bin, everything is still there. No, everything was restored back from our master repository, setting the system back in the original state. And in that instance where I spoke about this philosophical critical website, this helps maintain reduce your reputational risk. Now in CimTrak, we can see exactly what happened once again. You can see that all those files were deleted, but what's interesting is that we're heavy on the response side. So we can say this was replaced from the repository. And of course, we have all the other forensic information all the time. Now, one of the things that's unique about the update baseline mode and the restore mode is that you basically have a time machine in place. Let's look at update baseline for one quick second, because we made a few changes there. We can see every single change that was made over time. And for any of those changes, we have the option to look and see some of the details of those changes. Or we can go and I can download everything at a particular point in time. Say there was ransomware that occurred at noon. Well, you can go back to how things were at 11 a.m. It's basically a time machine for all the critical files in your system. So you can download things at 11 a.m. and pick out the files that you need, or you can simply say deploy generation, and things will roll right back to how things were at 11:07:54, as in this example. So a tremendous amount of power to deal with ransomware, tremendous amount of power to deal with situations where your reputation can be at risk, and simply to have the insight and assurance that your systems are running as expected. Now let's take it up a notch. There's another mode I'd like to show you. And that's the deny access mode. In this mode, I'm going to do the same thing. Let's try to delete a bunch of files. So I'll delete the files, and it's giving me an error. It's saying, I need permission as administrator to make the change. Well, guess what? I am administrator. Let's try it again. Nope, I'm getting the error over and over again. In this deny access mode, no changes are allowed to these files. It doesn't matter if you're an administrator. It doesn't matter what your privileges are, who you are, what access you have. It doesn't matter. If this policy is defined to deny external changes to this directory, no changes are allowed. So it's amazing, and it's a great way to ensure that if something's critical, it hasn't been altered, and you always have that confidence that this system or that this directory is in a state of integrity. So it's an incredible amount of power here. And you can mix and match these modes. They don't all have to be done in one directory. You can say on log, do one thing, restore, but if a delete occurs, update baseline. You can mix and match these modes any way you would like. So, and there's so much more that we can do. We have a compliance module where we can actually scan systems to ensure that they are meeting the requirements of CIS benchmarks or DISA STIGs, and then map that information to different regulatory requirements. We also have a built-in ticketing system, because in the end, something's going to happen. And then what do you do about it? How do you track that? So we've combined that detection and insight component with the other side of things of actually reacting to it and taking action. So when there are changes that have been triaged and need action, you can create a ticket, assign it to an engineer, and then they can take the appropriate action. And furthermore, we can even digest sticks and taxi feeds, pulling down different blacklisted items or files, and retrospectively looking at your network to see if those files ever existed on any of the machines in your network, or if they exist on the machine right now. So Steve, it's an incredible amount of power here, and I've just scratched the surface at some of the ways that you can use our product CimTrak.
Yeah, I mean, even just watching this in the few minutes we spent together, Robert, I saw some things that I was completely unaware of. And the idea of having almost like a cyber help desk built into the system is, pretty incredible.
Thank you, Steve. And we added that cyber help desk because we felt strongly that you need to have a strong process to manage these security events. Now, we understand that some companies may have a tool like ServiceNow or BMC Remedy in their infrastructure, or Jira, and that's fine. In those cases, we integrate our ticketing system in a strong two-way bi-directional sync to those systems. So when they define a change window in ServiceNow, for 5 systems, that flows down to CimTrak, and CimTrak understands that yes, changes will occur on those 5 systems, and they'll be allowed. Our main point and objective is to cut through the noise. What we want to focus on, Steve, are the changes that matter. Unauthorized changes, things that haven't been patched correctly, items that, malware, ransomware. Those are the items you want to know about. The rest of the changes, simple patches, updates, those need to be filtered out. And that's why this ITSM integration is so important.
So, Robert, just to leave off, for people who are watching now, they're interested, they'd like to learn more about CimTrak, maybe they'd like to get their hands on it. Where do they go on your site?
Sure. If they're interested in learning more, just go to www.cimcor.com, and that's spelled CIMCOR.com. There's a wealth of information. It's broken up by industry or by need, and you'll be able to navigate to exactly the information that you need. You can also email us at commercial sales or government sales, and someone will be glad to reach out to you, or just give us a call. I certainly would be glad to speak with you.
Well, Robert, thank you again, and we'll have you back on for sure. We never let you go because you've always got so much to share with us, and it was great seeing CimTrak today.
Great. I appreciate the opportunity, Steve.
I'm Steve Morgan, founder of Cybersecurity Ventures and editor-in-chief at Cybercrime magazine. Joining us today was Robert Johnson III, president and CEO at Cimcor, Inc., developers of the CimTrak Integrity Suite, a leading IT integrity monitoring, security, and compliance solution. To learn more about our sponsor, CimTrak, visit cimcor.com/CimTrak. You can keep up with all of our media at cybercrimemagazine.com.